Okay. Wow, you guys, thank you so much for that. I am just to kind of give you guys a little bit of backstory. I am actually in Denver right now, and as you can imagine, technology has been crazy. So I am going to be giving you guys a little bit of a presentation while my computer is still working on itself. So I'm getting my computer up and running, but in the meantime, I am so excited for today because we are meditating today. And the meditation days are probably my most favorite days of all of the things that we do together. So I'm just going to get something up real quick because I think we are going to be able to transfer over to my computer in a second. But just out of curiosity, I would love to hear from all of you if you guys want to throw things into the chat. How was last week for you after opting for better choices? Because we covered so much. I mean, so much that I just am curious how you guys felt after that. So I'm going to actually join really quick. You guys throw that in the chat. Oh my God, can everyone hear me? Hold on. Okay, I think everyone can hear me now. Okay, better snack choices. Let's see. Working on opting for better choices. Okay, good job. Yay! This is amazing. Okay, yay. Okay, I'm so excited. Jamie, if you don't mind letting me share the computer sound, if that's okay. I don't know if you could do that. Do you see that?
Yeah, let me switch it over just a second.
Thank you.
Okay, it says you're the host, so I think you should be able to.
Okay, cool. Sorry, these technical difficulties are crazy. Okay, let's do this. Hold on, let me get one thing up. Okay, let's see if I can share now. It says I can't share my screen still. Let's see if I can continue. Oh, let's see. Let's see if it works now. Can you guys see my screen? Yes? Let's see, throw it in the chat if you can see my screen. Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, yay, okay, great. We are finally ready to go. Whew. Okay, good. All right, so I am gonna get into today, we're just gonna jump right in. So today's meditation is something that I feel like I get asked about a lot, is how to bring yourself back from this idea of anxiety and feelings of unrest. And so I'm just curious, throw this in the chat. Have any of you guys dealt with any sort of anxiety this weekend, like within the last week? Like, have you guys had these feelings of unrest? Is this something that you are dealing with? Like, throw that in the chat. I want to hear from you. If yes, yes, okay, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. And so if you can throw in the chat, I want to know, like, what are some of the things that you do to help you come back from those moments where you feel like you have disconnected slightly from your body and you're feeling like your mind is taking over. Like, just throw that in the chat. Like, what do you do? I want to know. Breathing. That's awesome, Anna. Great. Deep breaths. Sarah, yes. So good. Okay. Okay, cool. Self-care, time alone, yes. It's okay to ask for silence. Like silence is something that can also be part of that. But here's one of the things that I want to start off today with is that if you don't talk whatever is on your mind, if you don't talk it out, you are going to act it out. Okay? And so I say this because there are a lot of people who turn to suppression and oppression of their own thoughts. And what that then does is it actually festers in your nervous system and it festers within your body. And you will eventually act it out. And it can come out in forms of either you blowing up at somebody in front of you who's like tested your patience. It could be acted out in something even as just like you like not harming yourself, but maybe causing unwilling harm. It could also be an altercation, an argument. It could be in some way, but it usually happens when somebody, an external force, does a behavior that triggers you. And you get triggered, and then you have this emotional outburst, or you have this emotional unreasoning that tends to happen. And that is sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes where anxiety can come in to take over, is because it is the act of not really sitting with your thoughts and talking them out and getting them out. So it's just something that I like to keep in mind. It's something I always like to start out with. Like, seriously, if you don't talk it out, you are going to act it out. Okay. So anxiety, let's start with this. Okay. It is a natural response system that the body goes through. Okay. So just know that anxiety, even though we all have labeled it as something that may seem bad or that we don't want it, or all of these sort of negative attachments that we have to anxiety, one of the things that I'm here to tell you is that anxiety, if you look at it in a different lens, it's actually important for our bodies to go through. And here's why. It's because it alerts you that you are off balance or something is off balance, okay? Yes, it comes out as a feeling of worry, of nervousness, okay, unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. That is true, and that is what happens. At the same time, there is this element that it is an alarm system that goes off. And I think I've told you guys this before, but actually I know I have, that stress and anxiety don't kill people. It doesn't make you sick. It doesn't do all of the things that we think it is. It's our response to stress and our response to anxiety that could potentially bring us down. Okay. So today we are going to talk about anxiety on a surface level. So if any of you have any sort of clinical diagnosis, I want you to know that you should always refer to your doctor or your medical team for any sort of advice. What I'm going to give you is very surface level. It is very just for basic anxiety. Okay. The tips that I'm going to share with you today are not applicable to somebody who's on medication, or has any sort of clinical diagnosis. At the same time, I just want you to know that you still need to work with your doctor. I am not a therapist. I am a coach. I am here to coach you through making progress going forward. Okay. Okay. So I talked about how anxiety is basically an alert system. It is about you being in high alert. Okay. When you have anxiety or feelings of unrest, your senses in your body actually get heightened, so that because you become then sensitive to more factors that are going on around you. Okay. But what also happens is when you hit this is that you start tapping into that that sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, or freeze. Okay. So that's just a little bit about that. But let me remind you here's what happens when you are chemically going through anxiety, okay? Fears, storylines, and patterns that are stored in your subconscious are now made conscious, okay? And you never really know what's stored in your subconscious until it's actually made aware of to you in your conscious. And here's a really amazing statistic that I always love to tell people because I think it's very important for them to know, is that 90% of the choices that you make and the actions that you take are made from your subconscious beliefs in your subconscious. Only 10% are made consciously. Okay? Has anybody ever heard that before? Throw that in the chat because it is so true. Only 10% of the decisions that we make and the actions that we take are made on a conscious level. That is it. Everything else is subconscious, and we don't know it's even there until it comes to fruition, until it comes to us. And so, let me just get in the chat. Yeah, I never heard that. Yeah, Marianne, seriously, right? And so this is why the subconscious is where we stick our suppressed and oppressed thoughts, the things that we don't want to think, the things that we want to move on from, okay? And this is why it's important to talk it out, because if you don't, you're going to act it out, okay? Fears, anxiety are usually related to safety or community or connection. This is typically where humans find that sort of rift. And so if you're finding anxiety around work, it's not necessarily the work itself, it's your connection to somebody or your connection to people based on what your work produces, okay? If you have anxiety over, I'm trying to think of another one, like performing and doing something like to be enough or to feel like you're enough, it's not that you have anxiety over the action of performance or the action of like doing your best. It's your fear of being judged by your community or your connection. This is typically where it comes from. And so it's really important that we recognize like what is the root cause of that. And typically for anxiety, it comes to safety, community, and connection, okay? The amygdala and nervous system is on high alert. This is where senses are heightened. So if you remember back to when we talked about neuroscience, okay, a couple weeks ago, gosh, it seems like so long ago, but it was only a few weeks ago. Remember, the amygdala is the part of the brain that's the inside right here, right? And this is the part that like all of the emotions and the alarm systems go off, right? And then over here is the prefrontal cortex, okay? This is what's on high alert, the amygdala. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think it's great for you guys to hear the science of anxiety before we go into the meditation, okay? So you are going through when you have any sort of feelings of unrest in high alert of the amygdala activation right here, okay? The amygdala, I want you to think about as like the security guard that's always on the lookout for threats. It's like got its binoculars on and is like literally like always on the lookout. If you guys ever saw the movie Inside Out, did anyone ever see that movie, Inside Out? If you haven't, you need to, but I'm sure you have, right? That movie Inside Out. Okay, yes. Remember fear? Who like freaks out and anger? Those two guys actually live in the amygdala. That's where they live. And sadness can sometimes live there, but fear and anger tend to live in the amygdala, and they're always looking out for people. And so when it senses danger, it like sounds the alarm, right? And sends the body into the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight, flight, or freeze, okay? Your amygdala activation or anxiety or feelings of unrest is activated by internal and external triggers or sensory inputs. So what that means is that your triggers are popping up all around you, but the way that you interpret that trigger, because it's a trigger for you, or the way that you interpret an experience, it is creating a trigger in your amygdala that is then forcing you to get into this like high sensitize and activation state. Okay. Are you guys with me? Is this landing? Tell me this in the chat. Like, are you learning something about how the brain is going through like this whole process? Tell me if it is. I want to know. Yes. Okay, we are with you. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I'm going to pause here. Any questions? I'm totally down for questions. I'm going kind of fast because, you know, we're going to get through a meditation here soon, but I just want to give you like the fundamentals of where this all comes from. Okay. Seems like we're in a good place. Okay. So what are some of the things that can help with this amygdala activation in the brain? Because this is what's physically happening, right? Well, one of the things that we know, right, that I talked to you guys about is that strengthening the prefrontal cortex helps your brain to not allow that amygdala to take over. So doing things to help with that prefrontal cortex is so important. And one of the things outside of like meditation and mindfulness is cognitive flexibility and doing things to your brain to actually work it out. So like if you have a body, right? Like people who want to be flexible have to stretch their body out every single day. Gymnasts have to work out every single day to have flexibility. Yogis do yoga a lot to create their flexibility. But I think one of the things we don't normalize or that we don't talk about is cognitive flexibility. Okay. So if you can start to apply some cognitive flexibility workouts every day, you're going to start to see that prefrontal cortex to actually gain strength. And so that when an experience happens that, you know, previously could have been a trigger, you're more likely to approach it logically versus emotionally, or from this part of your brain versus this part of your brain. Okay. So here are some things. Let's talk a little bit about cognitive flexibility. I want to give you some information so that you kind of understand where to go with this. Okay. Cognitive flexibility helps to adapt new information in a new way of thinking. It shifts one thinking as an adaptation to some kind of new stimuli. Okay. So let me like break that down. Like, what does that mean? It just means practice not thinking your same thoughts all the time. It means practice things that are not habitual to you. Okay. So when you start to practice cognitive flexibility, it helps you to feel more resilient, creative, and far more confident in life. Okay. So like, I'll give you some examples of what like you can do to practice cognitive flexibility. And for some of you, when I say this, when I say something to you and you say, oh, I can't do that, I want to encourage you to change the language to, I won't do that. Because it's not that you can't do something. When you really dig down deeper into that train of thought, it's really that you won't do it. So I want you to practice shifting the language from I can't do this, like I can't give up coffee. Not that I'm asking you to, but like just I'm giving you an example. I can't give up coffee, or I can't give up, I don't know, chicken. I don't know, whatever. It's more that you won't do it than you can't do it, because you can do anything. It's just you have to want to do it. And so cognitive flexibility is a playground for you to try different ways of thinking and different ways of living so that you can be more resilient in life. So for example, changing your context, okay? And practicing and playing in this area where if something makes you sad, like a song, practice changing the context into something like taking that song and making happy memories around it. Changing the context of a situation from happier or from something that's so negative and sad to something happier and more positive. So another example that I do with my clients, and this is something that is just, you don't have to do, but it's a really good exercise, is if you had a relationship that was severed in some way, like you don't talk to this person that you once loved, like there are exercises where I can take you through like changing your context about that relationship and changing your viewpoint on it to the point where you basically forgive and you kind of settle that. But you don't have to like actually like talk to that person ever again, but you just settle the meaning of it and the context of it in yourself and your brain and in your soul. So that's an example of changing your context. Another thing that you can do for cognitive flexibility is trying something different. So this is really, really fun. An easy way to practice cognitive flexibility every day is brushing your teeth using your opposite hand. So like I'm right-handed and I brush my teeth with my right hand. And so when I want to try to like practice cognitive flexibility, I practice brushing with my left hand. That's a really great, just an example. Or saying yes to something you would normally say no to. That is something different. Or trying something different. Like here's another one that I do with my clients a lot is like how they put makeup on. Okay. There are clients like when they really want to learn new makeup techniques, I ask them to change up how they put their makeup on. It's just a simple example, but that's a really important one. And then question your thoughts. This is really interesting when it comes to cognitive flexibility. So there is something that's called cognitive behavioral therapy. It's called CBT. And in cognitive behavioral therapy, there is an amazing theory that we have patterns of disruptive thinking, and they're called cognitive distortions. And a couple examples that are really tied to anxiety is something called catastrophizing. It sounds like what it is what it sounds like, right? Let's say something happened to you at work. Okay. Have you ever blown like that one thing? Have you ever blown it out of proportion in your mind, even though logically nothing ever happened that really made you blow it out of proportion? No one really said anything that made you think it was like bigger than it was. No one did anything like in reality, but you still thought it was bigger than it was. Has anybody ever been prey to that? Has anyone ever catastrophized something? Yeah. Okay, Stephanie, really quick. Can hormones mess with anxiety? Yes, 100% for sure. Okay. So many times. Yeah, right. So that is an example of a cognitive distortion called catastrophizing. So when you start, and this is something that if you guys ever want to work with me in the future, we actually go through every single cognitive distortion and I go through them in detail so that you can actually label them and say, oh my God, I'm catastrophizing right now. Like literally in this moment, I'm making this bigger than what it is. And I have no basis to, like, there's literally no proof that proves that I need to make this bigger than it is. Let me calm myself down and move on, okay? Another one is labeling. This one I see a lot in women where they label themselves without any reason. Like, oh God, I'm so messy, or oh God, I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so this. But there's really no logical proof that proves that you are that action. Has anybody ever done labeling? Right? Another example of that is like I should have, like I say, don't should all over yourselves. Like I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done this. Another cognitive distortion is black and white thinking, which sounds like is what it sounds. And it's thinking very, very black and white and not having any middle ground for the gray area. And so questioning your thoughts to be like, why am I always so black and white? When this happens, I always think this and I never see the gray area. So those are some things that will help you with your cognitive flexibility to address anxiety. Number 4 is my favorite, plan to be spontaneous. The more spontaneous you can plan to be, or you can just experiment with being, the more you're thrown at, or you're thrown experiences that you have to kind of like figure out how to navigate through. And those experiences get you to become more resilient to things like anxiety. Okay. And then lastly, mix up the way you think. And that sounds exactly like what it is too. Is like, if you really think that, I don't know, let me give you an example. Like, I don't know. There's so many things. Just mix up the way that you think. Like today, my husband and I are in Denver on a trip. Just him and I, our first kid-free trip in 2 years, you guys. I'm so excited. And he was like, we should go work out first. We should go work out first. And I was like, no, I kind of want to go like get outside and do something that like get outside. And I just helped him like mix up the way he's thinking because he's so habitual with working out first. And so for him to just like kind of just be open to mixing up the way he's thinking. It's just an example. It's also kind of like changing your context, but just changing it helps you to become more resilient, because then you just go with the flow a little bit easier. Okay. Ultimately, and you've heard me say this before, but ultimately, if you are in your mind, the easiest way to get out of your mind, out of the amygdala, is to get into the body. The body always holds more truth than your mind, because the mind is so complex. The mind has so many layers and so many variables that you should never always believe what you think. But your body holds the truth. It always will, and it will always have your back. So always go with what your body says and getting into your body. But that's not always going to be as easy as it sounds, especially when you're in the middle of your anxiety, is how to get into the body. So I want to help you with some ideas on how to get into the body. Again, this is very surface, but if we worked one-on-one, we would go far more deeper into what this would look like. But here are some of the things that you can to overcome to get into the body. And the first step when it comes to anxiety, to get out of the mind, is actually meet it where it's at and learn from it. I always hear from clients that they don't want to actually sit in their anxiety because they're afraid of what could happen. They're afraid of the monster coming to attack them. And so for them, they feel safer sitting in anxiety, because if they don't, they're afraid of what will happen. But all the while, they're sitting in anxiety and not helping themselves. And so when you work with a coach, the first thing that you can do is actually sit in it and learn from it. In a lot of meditation classes, we actually meet it with our practices to actually take that anxiety and meet it with kindness. Meet it with compassion and with empathy versus fear. Okay? Because what your anxiety is doing is it's actually telling you that there's something off balance. And so what does that mean? Learn from it. Just because you're meeting the anxiety with kindness and compassion doesn't mean the monster is going to come and get you. It's not that sitting in anxiety is not going to keep you safer from whatever it is that you are anxious about. So this is some of the things to overcome, and this helps you to get back to the body. Meet it with kindness. The other thing that you can do is know your triggers. So you can choose awareness by stop in the middle if you can. Take a breath. Observe your thoughts and then proceed from there. Okay. Lastly, or next, not lastly, you can do mindfulness practices. Every single day, a practice will help you to become more resilient cognitively so that you don't fall deeper into an anxious abyss. Okay. Breath work. Yes. Breath work is the fastest thing that's going to get you out, which we are going to do today, a lot of breath work. Okay. So get ready for this meditation, breath work. And then the last thing that is going to help you in these moments is connection. Because a lot of the reasons why you are anxious is because of fear of security, fear of community, fear of connection, loss of community, loss of connection. That's basically what you are fearing at the end of the day. When you really pull back the layers, that is what we are anxious about. So the more that you can connect with people who make you feel built up, who give you high frequency, the more you don't feel as lonely, because anxiety is just what it is it's a lonely place. And so you connecting with somebody helps you to get pulled out of that a little easier. So in those moments when you feel anxious and you want to go like pick your face or pick your nails or pick something, like that's one thing that I always see is like a result of anxiety, is that people pick because they're trying to channel their energy somewhere because they don't know where to go. So if you want to channel your energy, channel it towards being with someone you love. Channel it towards doing something where you can get out of your mind and into your body. Channel it towards somewhere else versus picking. And that's practice. That's all it takes, is just practice. Okay. How are you guys feeling so far about all of this? Did you learn something? Let me know if you learned something. Throw it in the chat. If this is hitting, if it's landing, if it's something that you guys are like, okay, I'm with you. Anybody? No. I know it's heavy. It's heavy stuff. I get it. Okay. I get it. Yeah. Meet anxiety with kindness. Yeah. Handy tips. Yeah. Meet anxiety with empathy. Absolutely. Because it's just the version of you. There's a version of you that is really scared, but there's also a version of you that wants to help you, right? So try to enact that one that wants to help you. So if you can meet it with compassion, grace, and empathy and sit in it and not try to get rid of it, because you getting rid of anxiety on your own or trying to like do whatever you can to, again, push it off and suppress it and regress, suppress and regress and oppress it, then it becomes harder to move through it. If you try to push it away, you're not going to move through it. So if you sit in it and you love it and you give it kindness and empathy and compassion, you can actually move through it smoother, and it actually may not come back. So just the thought. Okay, so we are going to meditate now. So one of the things that I'm going to ask you is that if you have a journal next to you, keep it next to you, keep a pen next to you. But I'm going to give you some time right now to find your comfortable place, find a place where you feel like you can just easily get into your meditation. We are going to be doing a little meditation with breath work in the beginning. We may not do music, but we will probably do some very soft music. But in the beginning, I want to keep it very, very peaceful. And breath work is one of those things that is so important for you when it comes to anxiety. So I'm going to give you a moment, and when you are there, just close your eyes. Okay? Begin to settle in to wherever you are at, letting go of your surroundings, creating a soft soft posture in your body. Relaxing your head, relaxing your back, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your hips, relaxing your knees, relaxing your feet. And at this point, take a deep inhale in through your nose and out through your mouth. Take a deep inhale in through your nose and out through your mouth. And take a deep inhale for the count of 4, following my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Softly breathe on your own. If your mind begins to wander, it is perfectly okay. Notice it and softly send those thoughts away. Surrender to this moment for you and only you. Begin to feel calmness in your belly, ease, a lightness, soft. And in your belly, imagine there is a soft blue light. And then your next exhale, feel that blue light start to spread to your ribs and your back. This light is calm and full of ease. Breathe. And on your next exhale, imagine this light spread to your chest, heart, shoulder blades. And on the next exhale, spread it to your legs and your arms.
And lastly, on the next exhale, spread this light throughout your neck, head, face. Your body is calm. Your body is relaxed. This blue light creates ease in every cell of your body. Breathe. Choose to let go of tension. Actively choose to let go of worry for this moment. You are calm. Allow the light to create a balance in every cell of your body. Breathe. Choose to meet every part of you with compassion right now. Choose to breathe into pleasure right now. Choose love right now. Now imagine that light start to go into the floor underneath you. Imagine that light going further beneath you, touching the ground of the earth. Imagine that light now reaching underneath the earth into the dirt. grounding you even further towards the core of the earth. Be open to this grounding energy flow. Keep going with that light until it hits the center of the core of the earth. This energy is grounding, keeping you in the present. Keeping you in logic, nowhere else. Here. Breathe. This is where there's no fear, just love. Love for yourself. Breathe. And on your next inhale, start to draw that light energy from the core of the earth back up to your body. All the way up, past the ground, to the floor that you are on, back to your body. And on your next inhale, know that you are calm. And on the next exhale, know that you can do it whenever you choose. I am calm. I am calm. Now begin to bring all that light back into the center of your body. Every inhale, every exhale, draw it back to the center of your body. Let go of any discomfort, any fear, and sit in this calmness. And let's take a collective breath. Inhale in through the nose and let it go out to the mouth. One more. Breathe in through the nose and let it go out through the mouth. And when you are ready, begin to wiggle your toes. Begin to wiggle your fingers. And at your own pace, drop your chin to your chest. Open your eyes whenever you are ready. And then return when you are ready. I'll give you a moment to just come back. And when you are ready, there are some journal prompts that you are welcome to engage in. I know that it's really hard to engage you right now to know how you're feeling specifically because it's such a big group and as you come back. But if anybody wants to share how they are feeling right now in this moment, feel free. I'd love to hear from you. At ease, relaxed. Great, very calm. Perfect. I love that. Let me just stop sharing my screen really quick. Okay. Let's go back to this. Here are some journal prompts that you can use right now in this moment. Write down how you feel. Notice your energy. And if anything came up, what are you going to forgive yourself for today? A lot of anxiety and feelings of unrest really rests in forgiving of self. I'll give you a moment to take it in. And really understand how you feel right now. Because right now, this present is all that matters. Worrying about the future and regretting the past doesn't serve you because they don't exist. They just rob you of one thing, and that is the right now, the now. If anything came up for you that you want to discuss further, feel free to reach out. I think it is definitely important to talk it out. And I would love to be that one to help you with that. Next session, if you can believe it, is our last session together. We are going to be discussing winning self-care rituals and what self-care really is and the act of it. You know where to find me to connect with me on. I want to hear all the wins, all the aha moments, any questions, any breakthroughs, anything. Please, please, please share with me. I want to hear it all. Okay. Cindy, I just saw yours. I feel like I went somewhere. Yeah. Write about it. If you want to talk to me about it, reach out to me on Instagram, on Facebook, whatever. I'm better on Instagram than I am on Facebook. I'm not going to lie. For those of you who've talked to me on Instagram, you know I'm like on the button on that one. But that somewhere else is important because that somewhere else is right here. It's also here. It's not really that far off. It's just right here. It's your mind and it's a good place. So I'm glad. We have 2 minutes left. So if anybody wants to share anything about how their experience was, or if they have any questions about meditation, the chat is open for you in these last 2 minutes. So I'm gonna have my chat box open. So, or if you guys have been enjoying this series, let me know. It's so hard to hear. I'm all by myself over here, so I'm always curious to see if you're taking it, if it's landing, if it's sticking. If you're still journaling, go for it. Or if you're still coming to, that's okay too. Always enlightened and still a journey. Yeah. Energy feels much better after these sessions. What does seeing the color orange do? Okay. So orange tends to, so colors tend to relate to chakra centers, which chakra centers we could do a whole class on, and they're just different energy centers or meridians that we talk a lot about in various different practices of medicine. And so the chakra is your sacrum, like right underneath your belly button, right there. And that is something with, so if you're having any creative issues or you're having a lot of creativity coming in, that it definitely is a very creative place. It's also a very, it has a lot to do with security too, that area. A lot about like your security, and mostly it has a lot to do with like professional, financial security, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I hope that helps. Usually that's what orange means when you're in that area. So whatever color that you see, so like if you see red, or if you see orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, or like a dark indigo black, like they all mean different things. And so typically they're related to the chakra centers, and something that it's either imbalanced or it's asking you to pay attention to it. Like it could be a good thing. It could be, however it lands for you. Doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. It just means like it's just an area of your life right now where just pay attention to, love it, give it compassion in all the ways. In some ways get excited, or in some ways it's calling you to open it up a little bit more. And so I do, I know we have to leave here, but I'll just give you guys a little background. I am a certified Reiki practitioner, so I can do some sort of chakra clearing and Reiki stuff through meditations. I haven't done any of these meditations, just so you guys know, but if it's something you're ever interested in, contact me and we can always talk about it. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. I know I did. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Jamie. So thank you.
Sandy, thanks so much for being here again. That was awesome, and I feel great, and I am going to take that into the rest of my workday. Next week, like she said, it's our last session. I'm a little sad, but I'm also looking forward to it. So thank you again to Sandy, and thanks again to Gino for sponsoring these awesome sessions. Thanks.
Thank
See
you
you next week, everybody.